Good evening and welcome everyone to the Lali-Ho League brackets flags. Finally, my name's Vitasia. I'm joined tonight by Klopfer. How are we doing tonight?
Doing excellent. Really excited for this race here. Definitely two really strong racers. I mean, everyone here who's made it into the bracket set is really strong, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this the seed being done tonight.
Absolutely. We have ch4osh4des versus xalde in this opening round match. ch4osh4des, in order to get to this point in time, ch4osh4des went through, has wins over Penny Whistle, Silverfire, and Gundam Pilot Spaz. Looks like he had a buy at some point to get him at last points. No slaps there. I also had a buy, so I can't really talk a whole lot about that. xalde, meanwhile, had 4 wins over Garen, Neon Gray, Love and Gaming with the ring. So both runners have absolutely tested their mettle so far in this tournament and are in this opening round of the brackets.
Definitely, as you're saying, those are some very strong opponents. They had to already get wins over to get just into this, and so we're going to see some really high-level play. And it was especially interesting here in the bracket flag set, which does have some pretty big changes that we've seen over the Swiss round flags.
Yeah, we'll be talking a lot about the subtle changes that are going on. It's nothing that affects kind of the overall gameplay. The basic rules are still going to be the same. You have 5 objectives, 3 of them are static, and then you have to complete 4 of the 5 objectives to get awarded the crystal that you use to go defeat Ceremus. The details
Speaking
of that.
Those, speaking of those objectives, the 2 random ones, so we always have those same set 3 objectives. We got 2 random ones rolled at the bottom of the list here. Those are 2 interesting ones, so definitely fun ones to see, the boss hunts we have set up for tonight.
Yeah, defeat Kenyatsu and defeat Rubicante. Both of them, depending on where they're located, can be quite rude at their location, but 2 boss hunts, they can be either boss hunts or character hunts. 2 boss hunts, might this be the legendary, our first trip up to the Giants required?
Very possible to have 2 boss locations there. We could actually have both of them hidden here. Boss hunts are really interesting. It'll be, exciting to see if either runners start preferring to go to locations with a lot of bosses in them, just because of this double boss hunt on top of D-Mist always being at large for your bonus item.
All right, and it appears that as though our runners are off and ready to go. We do have a starting Rosa, which is nice to see, and starting Edward. So we have a Rubicant. Maybe? I don't know. Rubicant shares a sprite with the 4 Fiends fight, so,
Exactly. So you have some information that you're going to value getting to check Baron once you do get that Baron key, but it's not a guarantee that that's your objective there. You might end up still whiffing there on your objective. But yeah, that start, like as you said, you're really happy to see Rosa, very strong white mage. You like having a white mage. There's a lot of fights that just get a lot easier when you have access to that. But unfortunately, join with an Edward means like your starting power level is just not that high. Neither of them are likely going to be doing great damage with the setup we have here.
Absolutely not. Now, one of the changes is the starter kits did absolutely change for our runners to start with. You notice, first of all, our opening key item was a cat claw, which, thanks. I appreciate that. Yang is not a popular character. I personally love a Yang, but can't necessarily see him. Also, the equipment is a little bit not great. I did see a Sorcerer robe, which will be nice for Rosa eventually. However, everything else we saw was nothing that is really usable, and also, the money situation. So you start with a random amount anywhere between 20,000 to 80,000 gold. And the reason why you start with that is because everything sells for 0. Like, you cannot get money unless it's through fights at this point in time. Starting off with only 23,000 gold, that's going to be a detriment in this early game. I guarantee it.
Yeah, definitely. That's about as low as the money grab bag can start, so that's definitely going to hurt. You're right. With getting that 0 sell, option turned on, it's hard to build money, especially in the early game. Later game, as you start fighting high tier bosses and or be doing high tier grinding, you start pulling in that money. But early game, without just being able to sell to make that, you can't just buy everything you want in the shops anymore. We definitely saw some difference there in the looting. So another change here is we've moved from the Wildish flag to the Pro flag for the treasure checks, which still give weighted checks. So kind of those out of the way places like Watery Pass will still have better gear, but you're just not going to see the same really high level that we were seeing in Wildish. But we did find some nice stuff. Zald, believe, found a Dancing Dagger, which is going to be kind of a good source of starting damage for some early boss fights, and some okay bows and arrows like Great Bow, although we already had the Archer Bow, and a small selection of elemental arrows.
Looks like our first boss check is going to be for Rydia up here. We do have a Mylan Z. We have some white arrows that Edward has equipped right now. So white arrows and fire arrows are actually going to do some extra bonus damage to this particular Mylan Z at this point in time. The problem is we're so low level that it doesn't really help us a whole lot.
Well, it's definitely going to be faster than if you didn't have any ability to take advantage of one of these elemental weaknesses. Oh, now that's a big find on Salt's screen. There's a Kanizo, and great to find him in such an easy location for our runners, because his wave damage is based on his max HP. There's only 1,000 HP here. Or sorry, his current HP. Even at max HP, he only has 1,000 here. Wave's just not as scary as it could be in other locations.
No, and another thing to point out is we did get a stack of 10 Thor Rages at the start. When Kenyaso has his wave up, he is weak to lightning. When he doesn't, he's weak to ice, which, yeah, that makes sense. Sure, I guess. But it's something to keep in mind. So you can use those, and between that and the Dancing Dagger, this is going to be a relatively easy fight. And more importantly, an easy objective 4 down already.
Yep, so quarter done, as you're noting. Well, we have 5 listed here. You only have to get 4 done. You get to fade one of these, so it's really nice to get one objective done early, especially when we have that double boss hunt. Yes, Hades there did pick up the Rydia, so goes and find out what his free summon is. I didn't recognize the sprite myself, but he is not interested, so we get a reset.
I believe that was Imp.
Yeah, I'd see why less interested in
that. Not really. Not at all. Not even remotely. So Chaos Hades is actually going over to Kabul to start with. Zald does get a second Sorcerer Robe. So meanwhile,
not the item you want to find, but hey, you got the objective done, so you are not upset at this at all. But that is interesting. Chaos Hades is currently fading Antline. I wonder if that means he'll be fading it for a long time, or it could just be he's hoping for a source of exit to be able to avoid the walking out, and that there was exits for sale in this shop. But again, money's tight. Do you buy that exit, or do you wait to somehow just learn the exit spell, which is trickier with Rosa as your white mage?
It's a little bit trickier, absolutely. It looks like Zald is now heading over to see, okay, what's Rydia, or if Rydia is here, is it worth it? Chaos Hades, continuing on, just doing Kabul right now, did spend a little bit of cash for a karate shirt for Edward, of all folks. So that'll be really interesting right now. So another Mylan Z fight, and Antlion just moved right next door over here.
Not too far here. So definitely with the Dancing Dagger, we might see this Mylan Z fight go a little faster. That's dishing out some pretty good damage. That Antline fight's going to be a little more annoying. Again, not having the Dancing Dagger means you have your Thor Rages. You're trying to avoid the fight command, though, because that triggers the Antline's counterattack. Which we see here. Thor Rages, Chocobo will do some damage, and you really would like Rydia to stay alive here to get that XP. Because she did not survive the Mylan Z for Chaos Hades, so she's still level 1, sitting there with 30 HP and no MP. So hopefully she can stay alive and get a handful of levels here.
Chat, I hope you can help me out here. Where did Zald find that Dancing Dagger? Because frankly speaking, that Dancing Dagger is going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting in this early part that Chaos Hades does not currently have. And that's, resets out right now. It's amazing how much one piece of equipment can really change the swing of a game in this early part of it.
Yeah. And now, as you know, Chaos Hades did spend money, but that was he didn't go back and save, so he's having to redo the inventory management here, sell the items again, and rebuy that. So a little extra time loss, unfortunately, on top of also having to reset out that boss fight. So it's definitely a risk doing your shopping beforehand in any place. So you can see that risk cropping up here, and Xalde following on over to Fabul.
Yep, and Xalde even found a black belt somewhere along the way as well. So the increased looting early on has really made the difference for Xalde at this point in time. ch4osh4des, I'm sorry to say at this point, is absolutely kind of behind in this straight line race at this point in time. It's still early, still lots of things that
definitely
can change.
A lot can happen still at this point. But yeah, I think it will definitely be interesting as more of these bracket seats get streamed. Do racers start looking at what other people are doing looting early game and change their strategies? Because there are a lot of options where you go looting that maybe we weren't seeing in the Swiss flag due to the Wildish making looting just a little easier to get done. We might see some kind of some meta shifts around basically this early game looting. I think we'll see here the Dancing Dagger do its work on Antline. This likely will be a lot easier fight, taking advantage of Rosa's aim, although she is in the middle slot, so I'm not sure we'll see that aim do too much damage.
See, Chaos is showing us the boss of the Watery Pass doing a little bit of boss hunting. Just a Surah, you know what? I'm fine with the Surah being there. It's a boss that can be cheesed, but will always take a little bit longer than usual. So yeah, fine. Let's get that out of the way.
KSA did stop at Dancing to raise the hovercraft and check that boss, but didn't do the full looting, so still short, unfortunately, on that Dancing Dagger. But is good coming into the Antline Cave, so that's good. He's not continuing to fade this location, as we do know there's an objective here. It can be easy if you fade Antline Cave early to just fade it forever or just forget about it.
It's true. Xalde does get through fairly easily on the Fabul Gauntlet. Meanwhile, ch4osh4des going to be doing, and will be very happy he didn't fade this for too long with the Kenyatta down there. Frankie Bones does ask an interesting question in chat. Does the black belt increase damage output from the Dancing Dagger? That's a fantastic question. I think Dancing Dagger is based roughly on like magic damage, or is it strength? I'm not entirely sure.
I have no idea. I've always seen it doing roughly the same amount of damage, so I'm not sure it's linked to any stats. But chat's extremely smart, so I'm sure chat's going to inform all of us here at some point. And very interesting, the reward there for completing Fabul is our hook, which means this might be a hook seed. So we might have to take the hook route to get underground. There's still a chance Magma Key's hanging out somewhere here on the overworld, but once you see that hook, you start preparing for, okay, this might be a rough way underground.
It's true, and one of the popular strategies, at least in the early Swiss portion, is if you get that, go ahead, take a dive in there, do your character check, because that's kind of a locked area. You know, you might find a boom, and that can completely change the makeup of the race at that point in time. You can go from not killing anything to killing everything.
Yeah, especially when you're running Rosa, Edward, Rydia with no summons found yet. You really are going to value this ability to do a character check without having to do a boss fight associated with it. So Xalde definitely coming over here, going to do that, as well as going to maybe do some looting in here, because again, this has it's behind a gated item, so the loot is slightly higher quality here, as well as the item shop can have some really good stuff.
Absolutely. It's the unfortunate thing is we don't have a whole lot of money to buy a bunch of stuff, so we can't. It's like, hey, Sirens, buy a stack of 10. Oh my God, it's Sirens. We can't buy.
There's Sirens. 3, maybe 4. Okay, and that definitely is a hard decision when you're faced there with Bacchus Wines and Sirens, because you want both of those and you do not have the money for them. He has less than 2,000 gold left, so if he sees anything here in the weapon shop, yeah, he can afford a handful of ice arrows, and that's it, because Xalde has no money at this point and really will not until probably another 30 minutes into the seed.
See, I said that low money count was going to make a difference very early on, and absolutely right now. You know, you would love to be able to buy a stack of 10 Sirens and just forget about ever coming back to the pool. Not going to happen this one.
As well as only one Bacchus wine. Now, given the current party, that's probably fine. There's not really anyone you want to get berserking through. But again, going through that hook route, you might have some hard boss fights and really want to have some Bacchuses to get through those quickly, depending on who gets out of your party by the time we commit to this. But you just can't afford getting both, so it's a tough decision to make them. Yes, Hades did check the Mist Cave, by the way, and found just CPU, so not one of ours. But exciting talking about Mist Cave is there's a D-Mist sprite. So, even if you don't have to do the hook route, the magma key comes up. This is somewhat interesting looking.
Yeah, I think this incentivized me to do the hook earlier rather than later. Absolutely. I may not be doing some extra checks. If I can go hook, I might do it. Let's not underestimate that Cecil either.
Exactly. So you're right. Like, hey, can we do the hook early? Like, well, we just got Cecil. You know what Cecil likes is going up Mount Ordeals to become a paladin. So that very well might become a check to we want to do before committing to this hook route.
Yeah, I mean, but you want because right now Cecil, we don't know what his equipment is. Frankly, we don't necessarily care. It's mostly about getting him switched over to the paladin so he can start actually earning real levels. Dark Knight levels don't count, no matter what anyone says.
That being said, I'm not sure we've actually seen any great gear for him. So even when we transform him into a paladin, at some point he might start swinging pretty hard. What do we have for him right now? Give him one of those bow and arrows, give him a dancing dagger. It's really not too much great to put on him right now, unfortunately. But we're going to be doing a lot of key item checks. Maybe one of those won't be a key item. Maybe one of those will be an xalde. Maybe one of those will be a crystal sword, at which point you're really happy you have a paladin.
Bare minimum. Have found some decent armor and put him in some armor, put him in the middle slot, put a drain sword on him even to lower his agility even more for that anchor. And he will cover everyone.
That's a good call, and Drain Sword is one of the weapons we found so far, so that is a definite possibility. And there are definitely some boss fights become a lot easier once you can start just covering the rest of your party.
Yeah, any of the just as a note, any of the early bosses that you find, Antlion, any Octobomb, really any boss in the first half of feels like before you go into the underground. As long as they don't cast magic and only deal physical damage, back row Cecil can just cheese his way through anything.
KS it does make it through the Antlion on his second attempt here, so that's good for him. He'll be able to now get his hook, and we'll see if he goes ahead and picks up his Cecil or continues to check some other key item locations. We find our first boss here being Mom Bomb, one of those punchy bosses you were referring to.
Yeah, it doesn't help us with the Dark Knight, though, because Dark Knights, despite what Final Fantasy XIV will tell you, Dark Knights are not terribly great tanks in this game, at any rate. So,
the Dancing Dagger's still doing great DPS here, has 2 of them now, so Rydia is also throwing those. We'll likely see reaching the Rotten Tomato phase, but probably won't be able to kill through that phase, and we'll have to see the explosion and then follow that up with some ability to kill all the small bombs that come out. So yeah, definitely a bit of a being known in chat. This is a bit of a time sink. It's Mom Bomb kind of wherever you find it, unless you're super high level. Always gonna be a time sink. This boss gets an extra 9,000 HP to make sure it gets to the explode phase. And again, unless you're already level, high 40s with good equipment, you're probably not going to chew through that extra 9,000 HP. So takes some extra time to get through.
That was a little bit gutsy. I did see Xalde use a Boreas on the single target. It's one of those J items that maybe you can use for multi-target that can kind of clear something out, but tried to push through that HP spot. Didn't quite get there, so did have to deal with the explosion. Did win, but did have to use a second J item through there. Remember, resources in this particular flag set are just super limited between money and what you're rewarded. Every one of those items count.
Yeah, we'll see if he ends up really missing that Boreas because there could be a boss, say, well, I don't know, Rubicante, someone who's vulnerable to that ice magic. He really would like to still have that Boreas, but it looks like just Dark Elf in this spot shouldn't be too hard of a fight for his current team.
It'll be interesting. I mean, the dancing daggers will do fine. Will absolutely do work. It's a matter of surviving, and it does look like he has a black sword, so he's doing respectable damage through all of this.
Yep, that is kind of one of the nice things with the current like starting gear. Sure, no one has any armor on, but if you do get that black sword, the Dark Knight is, at least up until about the end of Ordeals, where he would turn into a paladin anyway, is going to do very reasonable damage to these fights, as well as get a somewhat higher agility, so you might even see more attacks coming out of him. So definitely something you like to see. So the first, there we hit the me change phase of Dark Elf, so turning into the dragon here, which does turn off the boss bit, although I haven't seen anything. Oh, I take it back. Stop spell from Rydia. We can take advantage of that.
It's amazing that the boss bit leaves the Dark Elf when he turns into his dragon form. Also, I don't think this actually counts as a dragon. Like, it does not extra damage to dragon stuff because thank you, Super Nintendo.
That is, in my opinion, the hardest thing to figure out in free enterprise is when it looks like a dragon, is it actually a dragon or not? That's really what distinguishes, good players from the great players. And sure enough, so able to get through that Dark Elf fight, especially once it was in the dragon form, being able to be stopped. And we'll get to see who the final boss is waiting out here on Ordeals. Ordeals can be a really nice stopping point when you do have that boss hunt, because you get to do 3 boss locations. And so far, 2 whiffs. But hey, 1 more, we can still potentially find a Rubicante up here.
Well, let's not forget, we saw that Rubicante sprite in the very start. So right now, it's kind of a 50-50 coin flip. Is that actually Rubicant, or is that an Elements fight that we have no idea? I think it's going to incentivize Baron, though. If we get a Baron key at any point in time, we're going to see our runners just beeline that direction.
Yeah, definitely. And the key item, though, is a pass. Definitely a useful item to have. You can avoid doing that long walk down to the Z fight once you do eventually get into go mode, so you'd like to see that. And our boss fight.
Octomom. Okay.
It's fine. No problems getting through this fight. This is kind of one of those easier fights, though, so it's not a free fight. There's definitely fights that are easier in this one, but it's usually also not the hardest one in most places, so you kind of like to see it show somewhere a little harder than just inside the crystal room here. But hey, you can't control where you're going to get these fights. You just need to take what you get.
Yeah, I would have much rather seen that somewhere else. We were just talking about Cecil being able to use cover strats, and that's a prime example of a boss that, with that party, with Cecil, with some decent armor, yeah, put that at Ogopogo. I'm fine with that. We'll cover him all day.
So running out of things to do before coming to the hook route. I suppose there's still Baron in open, which actually Chaos Hades is looking to check right now, and the first boss at Tower of Zot, but that just is not a terribly likely thing to go check at this point.
In particular, since both of our runners have seen that demist at this point. They're like, nah. But we do have vanilla guards.
Oh, yep. And unfortunately, it's also not hitting quite enough to take them out, even with the 400 HP spot here, split across those 2 bodies, but still won't cause too much of a problem. Usually what you're concerned about is who's the second boss at the Baron Inn. So we'll have to wait to see that one. Zald going ahead and doing a little bit of shopping here. So you like to see vampires when you have money, but at this point, yeah, there's really not too much you can afford. Maybe life potions, if he saw some, he could buy another 5 or 6, but he just doesn't have money at this point.
And this is horrible in terms of the boss that we want to see. Well, Val is. Now, Val has some interesting specific attributes in Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. That means that the intended route into the underground cannot be blocked by either Cabaldas or Golbez. So if we didn't already have the hook, we would know that this isn't going to be our intended route into the underground. Like, whatever is behind here, not our underground access. But that doesn't mean it can't be our second underground access.
Yep, exactly. So since we do already have the hook, it does mean the magma key could be here, which makes it kind of still interesting check here. I'm checking my notes. I do believe this happens to be one of the slots where you can still connect with magic on Vivalis, the karate slot. So we'll see if the dancing daggers still get used as an item, just to check to see if they connect. Because it definitely is a good source of damage that can be done. But even without the aim command, is still doing a lot of damage here. So as long as Chaos Hades can keep everyone standing, because the spot's very punchy, he should be able to get through the fight.
I just took a look at Xalde and what his equipment was for his vessel. Yeah, he has a bow, but he also has Crystal Helm, Dragoon Armor, and Samurai Gloves. So he's set.
We definitely have found really good armor, for sure. It'd be nice if he also had a good weapon for him, but, you can't complain, at least when he gets the cover strats, which will, for this very punchy spot, be nice to have.
Chaos Hades tried to use that Unihorn, thinking, hey, that'll help cure us of this stone affliction. No. Unfortunately.
Cool. Chaos Hades does use the Dancing Dagger here. Sure enough, it does connect for a few hundred points of damage. So yeah, really just needs to be able to pick up enough of this party here, because Velas is only taking down one person at a time, so as long as you can kind of throw out enough life potions, you should be able to get through the fight. And Xalde with that extremely high level armor and making use of cover strats might find this fight a lot smoother. And immediately... Oh no. That definitely hurts for Chaos Hades.
It does, and that's, you get the sense, and this is the worst feeling that you get as a runner, is that you're not in control of it. You're running through, you're trying to fight bosses, and you're just hoping that you can get through. That's, instead of knowing you can get through, you feel like you're hoping you can get through, and that's not a good feeling.
Yeah, definitely. Just if the AI targets, whoever's throwing your life potions, it can just get out of control really quickly, as we saw there. And because Hades going to go ahead and just go, well, let's just go check another spot. Maybe we can clear out Ordeals here, gain a few more levels, come back to the Baron Inn, and it'll be an easier fight at that point.
Meanwhile, the double dancing daggers are doing work on Xalde's side. Cecil goes down, but not entirely sure Xalde cares even. This spot does not award any experience, so you don't even need your Cecil up.
Exactly. Likely he was keeping track of the amount of damage he'd piled up at that point, so I was close enough, so no need to bring the Paladin up. Ooh, Adamant. That is one half of that first objective there, so you're always happy to find that. But our magma key, so it does look like it's going to be the hook route.
Yeah.
Now,
Adamant is fine. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, those dancing daggers have been doing great damage up until this point. The hook route is where you start finding hitting for 300 to 400 to just not be enough to really get you through those fights. So, yeah, we can go ahead and do hook route, but it's going to be slow to get through, especially at D-Mist at that location with these damage numbers. So I wonder if Xalde will go ahead and look for maybe some better gear to really get that Paladin equipped. There are some places where there's looting could still be done. Maybe the castle next to the Emblem Cave. Or there's 2 trap chests that could be checked on his way up to the hook route. So maybe some more looting will happen. Maybe he feels like he's strong enough to take on those boss locations.
Here's what sounds good to me, and this is a situation that I think every runner has faced themselves. Castle Eblin sounds like a fantastic idea right now. Not only is it fantastic loot, but there's 3 trap chests that can give you quite a bit of experience to help you get through. You do have to be able to kill those 3 trap chests, which can be difficult, but with the back row Cecil is very, very doable.
Yep. It really depends on also what J items you're holding on to. If you have access to, say, mage killing gear, so mute knife or mute arrows to get through the Mad Ogre chest, say a big bomb to help you get through that Stalemate skeleton chest. Yeah, there's multiple ways to get through those trap chests. You always just have the option too of resetting when you see those. You won't get the levels, you won't get the better gear, but you can still end up finding some nice stuff in that area. It does look like Xalde is definitely interested though in finding a little more power, so he's checking around for item shots and weapon shops and just freebie chests in town. Now, definitely some of those chests in towns on T Pro don't have high chances of giving good gear. They're going to be pretty low weighted, where Evelyn Castle, much higher weight, since you're much more likely to find good gear there.
Someone in chat, Roddy Sniper, actually points out we have a second white mage as well. That Forum, if we can get enough levels to get both her and Rosa with Blink, that helps trivialize a lot of fights, especially a physical kind of encounter like Demas does.
Exactly. Demas has two things, punching and turning into mist. Well, then encounter if you hit it in mist. So if you have Blink, which you have plenty of opportunity to get up during the mist form, yeah, you're just totally safe, even at a very punchy location. You just really have to survive that first round of attacks. And here we do find our first trap chest. So there are 3 here, and it looks like we found the Mad Ogre's chest. So very resistant to magic, but very weak to mage killing gear or an ogre axe. Doesn't look like we found one of those yet, though.
Absolutely not. But we got Cecil. I mean, they do all punching, cover strats. I mean, I'm leaning heavy into cover strats right now. If I'm these runners, there's not a whole lot else we can do. Xalde does reset out. With Rydia not in that middle slot, tried to cast Toad. Missed. Toad and Mini and those sorts of spells do have kind of a relatively low hit rate. Putting them in the middle does help quite a bit with that hit rate.
Yeah, definitely. I think throwing her in that middle slot would be much more likely to hit that Toad spell, and then your attacks will do a lot more. Well, they'll do more damage. A lot's probably not too likely given our current gear setup. But yeah, with the cover, being able to keep Rydia alive to get that cast off. Ooh. I also did see a move to Charm Arrows there. The black belt on Rosa. So might see some higher damage numbers and a bit of ability to get through this fight now. Rosa in the middle slot is also interesting. She can take advantage of that if you're using the fight command, but if you want to use her aim command, you'd rather her not be in the middle slot anyway. And Chaos Hades here. Into the crystal room, so going to be finding out just an Octomom, not one of the boss hunts he's hoping for, and just a pass as his key item. So unfortunately, it still looks like that hook route is open.
This is what I would call suboptimal in terms of a start. You have a hook start. I mean, you'll have a pass and an adamant once it's all said and done, but your party is not terribly well off. You don't have a ton of equipment. You don't have a ton of levels, and you're staring down a hook route that isn't going to be necessarily kind to you. You have to be able to know the game and know the mechanics and get your way around. I really like Xalde's choice to go ahead and try to gain some extra levels here as best as he can, using his knowledge to the best of his knowledge right now. The unfortunate thing is the longer he takes through here, like he's not getting life glitches off, the longer it's going to, the more opportunities it gives Chaos Hades to catch up at this point.
Yep, definitely. Chaos Hades looks like he's done some slightly different looting, as I do see a Dwarf Axe, which I didn't see on Xalde's side, which it's a decent weapon, does a fair amount of damage, although unfortunately does make you slower. Also is a different way of back row glitching Cecil, so he can continue to do full damage from the back row there. Maybe those will be the difference makers for letting him get through some of these trap chest fights faster, or maybe we can just take a different approach. Maybe not come into the Castle Evelyn, just go ahead and take the trap chests on the way to the hook route and maybe get through those quickly.
Xalde does get through the first fight. Yeah, it was just a crystal helm. We already had one.
Oh, darn. You're always excited when you see crystal, and sometimes it's not as exciting as it could be, though. Jack confirming crystal helm. I wonder if we'll see a save here before continuing to loot. The concern of having to maybe take another trap chest and facing a wipe there would be scary. So, but nope, checks at least one more, although that might be one he's checked before his first reset.
Oh, going through the middle slot now. So this is
confidence.
Risky. This is very brassy. I think it's going to be the term I'm going to use. This is some brass here that he's all showing.
Yeah. There are 2 remaining trap chests. Could be he has the equipment that makes him feel confident taking those on, so he's not worried. Maybe the Mad Ogre was the only one he thought was going to be challenging, and that one's done now. Black Hat Lamia fight. So you do have to be concerned if you attack the Black Hats and are not able to one-shot them. They will counter with a instant kill attack. Although being able to charm the Lamia will help a little. Get some help from the enemy side. Chaos Hades also seems interested in finding a bit better gear, so we see him softening.
Oh, what is that?
Upland as well.
Oh, okay. So the Lamia, as charmed, hit the Black Cat, and the Black Cat counted Bluster still on the party. That's rude.
No.
That is so rude.
Oh. I was not aware of that interaction. That is really unfortunate. You do not want to actually charm her, apparently. That's going to end poorly for your party. Oh boy, that's scary. Two party members down, and as we noted, he did save in between here, so if he does take a wipe, that could be scary.
That's about the rudest thing I think I've ever seen in a free enterprise seat. Like I also did not know that. That is knowledge that I am very grateful for Xalde for showing us all this, because I will not ever make this mistake myself.
Yeah, not a situation that's going to come up very often, so not something you expected to see here. Chaos Hades does have a handful of J items, so he did find the remaining trap chests here, the Staleman and the 4 skeletons, and making good use of those J items to clear out the skeletons quickly, and now just has 1 opponent left to deal with. With cover strat shouldn't be too hard, and clears out that fight. So
Xalde pulls out the Stardust at this point. Oh,
Chaos Hades. That's a good find. You're happy to see that when you have Iridia in your party. Early game Iridia.
Absolutely are, yeah.
Not doing too much, but once she knows Bahamut, that's a lot of damage. Especially, and a Sorcerer Robe and Tiara too. That's some good gear to go along with that really strong summon. That's basically the difference maker you were looking for.
Yeah, we have a Murder Child online. That kid is going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting for us right now, and it's not even close.
Yeah. So I wonder if Chaos Hades will actually continue to loot here, or feel confident about checking at least these last. Will he enter back into the castle, or go, nope, I have the power I need, I can tackle the hook route right now. As long as you have sufficient MP to cast Bahamut say multiple times, that's going to do your damage to get through the Demis fight.
So it just comes out, drops the save at this point. Xalde is also went out and dropped the save as well. So they'll be kind of running over each other's steps at this point.
And does occur when you do a ton of looting. Your inventory pool will fill up. There definitely is less incentive to stop the shop and sell when things don't sell for any money. Now, this fight took quite a while for Xalde to get through. Chaos Hades can just Bahamut this fight as long as he has the MP, which he has. He has enough. It's close, but he does have enough.
But Ridia's got to stay alive.
Yeah. Although here casting life, she should start in the critical status, so Cecil will be automatically covering her now. Which should be fine. This is mostly punching. Lamia can throw out the charm status, which could interrupt things, but as long as just the punches are coming out, we should see that Bahamut cast go off.
Meanwhile, xalde has this portion of the fight well under control, has a stop on the Staleman, just needs to get Quorum up, I think, honestly. To get experience.
Yep, would be nice to get that experience on your second White Mage. She does learn Berserk nice and early. Thought the spell you went for taking on the Deep Mist, but useful in a lot of other fights.
Oh, and stop. Here's the problem. So there are, I think there's 3 levels like there's level 1, level 2, level 3 stop. And they're represented in the game by Hourglass 1, 2, and 3, and they each last, a short, medium, and long duration. Most people are familiar, especially in the Swiss flags, Hourglass 2s are traditionally what sold in shops, which is kind of a medium duration. The spell stop is only for a short duration. So we saw that stop go off on Rydia, and it didn't last terribly long, did it?
Unfortunately not, so we do have to get the punch, but Xalde does make it through. Doesn't get XP on everyone, but does get access to the very powerful Bahamut. I'm also seeing an Ether in the inventory there. So again, when you're looking for that DPS, get through the D-Mist slot, being able to get multiple casts of Bahamut through a full MP Rydia, and then some Ether 2s. That's a way through, and a way that won't take horrendously long, which I was looking for like before we came to do this looting.
All right, so
Much more confident now about coming down the hook route.
Absolutely. Bahamut tends to make everything so much better.
We still have one more hidden boss here. We don't know who's in the King and Queen Evelyn spot. There are some rude bosses that could show up there, so we'll still have to see who that is. But I imagine Xalde's feeling relatively good about being able to get through this location.
Oh, that's a cheeky assassin dagger in the middle of the Chocobo Forest outside Baron. That's not a check we see very often.
Yep, not one done too often, but hey, you need to fill up your MP. Why not grab an item while you're here? Again, not having access to the ability to buy a lot of things with just such low money, tents and cabins are a little harder to come by, so just knowing those places where you can get free restores, so like the pot next to Dwarf Castle or the White Chocobos in certain Chocobo forests, good information to make use of. I guess Hades showing us that there, and getting some looting done at the same time.
Alright.
Sure, Chaos Hades will find this fight a lot easier with the access to the Bahamut summon. And he has 120 MP. I believe Bahamut's 60, so that's ability to cast it twice.
Xalde says, I'm done looting. More importantly, I'm not wanting to encounter any more ogres, and I don't necessarily blame him after that first ogre fight that he handled. So, skipping the treasure chest here, although it is very common to go ahead and try to pick up the treasure chest as you're going through the underground in the hook route, simply because the power that you can get from those treasure chests. We saw, the Crystal Helm was kind of a bust, but a white shirt, which is the very best equipment that Roses or Quorum can equip in terms of your white magic, and that's pretty much all they need. And then Bahamut, which is going to carry you for the next 30 minutes or so. So it's worth it to get those every now and then.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you already committed to doing the Castle Evelyn, which does have higher tier loot inside of it, especially inside those trap chests, you're probably going to skip these chests unless you really just manage to whip on all of those and still need more power level. But Xalde, having found what he wanted, pretty much that Bahamut summon, goes, yep, looting done. Let's try to move through and get to the underground as fast as possible. Because those fights did go a little slow, so I could see Xalde thinking, I might be behind now. I need to start moving quickly and make up some time for those fights. Yeah, I got my Bahamut, great, but hey, if I got the Bahamut faster, I would have been able to clear out that, or if I got Bahamut chest first, I would have cleared out Evelyn so much faster.
It's weird how magic friendly this siege has been so far. We've had 2 Sork robes and a white robe. That's more friendly than I've had any sort of magic casting siege ever in this flag set.
Yeah, but you're going to be given these characters who maybe aren't the highest power level, though, thus make things a little harder. It's nice that the Sea can make up for that with then giving you at least good gear for them. I find Pale
by the way,
first slot here.
So this is funny. So we wanted to rely on strat. Here's the problem. Pale Dim has a script. And that script is if you use a summon on him, we'll cast Quake on your entire party, and that's no good.
Yeah, Quake is not a... I mean, Quake is a nice spell when you're casting it. It is not a nice spell when it's being cast against you. That being said, this spot has 6,000 HP. And Bahamut's doing close to 6,000 damage. It does over 6,000 on a high roll. So, yeah, it looks like I'll just want to get a few hundred HP, or a few hundred points of HP damage in, and then queue up the Bahamut and just hope it one-shots. As, well, Dead Boss doesn't counter. Yep.
All right.
Chaos Hades also now coming up the hook route. Oh. Whew. Yeah, should have just blurred. It was going to be fine.
I mean, it's still a little bit risky, but okay, I get it. I mean, at least I get it.
Yeah. Definitely, I like what Xalde did there, which was get a few extra points of damage in there to really guarantee that one shot, because the Quake counter will kill you. You don't want to see that. All right. Chat asking if Chaos got Bahamut. Chaos also has Bahamut, which is almost certainly the only reason he's willing to now commit to this hook route is he believes he has a way through these boss fights.
Absolutely. I do believe that was the correct call to make at this point. You don't often see people go into Dublin Castle for those 3 trap chests, but it is very, very powerful when you have the opportunity to do so, especially when you have low levels and you're not confident in your underground strats. This is just a fantastic opportunity.
Definitely. Oh, I like what Xalde's doing here, slowing down the D-Miss, making it a lot easier to confirm that Bahamut will be able to connect before D-Miss might go back into miss form and you miss on one of those Bahamut casts. That's a lot of missed damage, and you only have so much MP to use in this fight. So, I think very well played here by Xalde.
Worth noting that I think Chaos Hades ended up finding a dwarf axe for his Cecil. Meanwhile, Xalde is still rocking darkness arrows and a cheap bow that, you know, he pulled off a tree and just kind of bent the branch and called it good.
Chaos Hades just throwing out that Bahamut and doing enough damage, so getting through that fight. Although, probably realizing that was a little risky, and so let's save so we don't have to do that risk again. And we'll take on D-Miss after. So a safety save here by Chaos Hades, while Xalde getting another successful Bahamut cast off, so avoiding hitting the miss form with his really powerful spells there. Though Rydia now is taking a nap.
That was very unfortunate because he had used his Ether 2 on Rydia, and then Rydia got just kind of hit. So wasted that Ether 2. Don't know if there's any Ether 1s.
I only saw a single Ether picked up, that Ether 2. Ooh. And I don't believe Xalde took the safety save either. So if he doesn't have access to more damage here, I don't think he's that close to doing all of the damage necessary to get through this spot. It has a total of 25,000 HP. It'll be really slow if you are not dual cast Bahamut anymore.
Wait, has the Lilith Rod though? And Lilith Rod, you can psych, and hey, I'm pulling mana away from Rosa or
everyone. I don't care at this point. Give your MP to Rydia. This is your way to get through the fight. Only
problem is he de-equipped it and instead went with Dancing Dagger. Just gonna, you know, I don't blame him for like that being the instinctive reaction, because the Dancing Dagger has done work for Xalde throughout much of this race up to this point in time. But Lilith Rod is like, that's one of the benefits of Lilith Rod there.
Yeah, I 100% can see not thinking of that, but when you go to stop to equip that dancing dagger, that's your chance to go, oh right, I have a Lilith Rod. I can get MP back onto Rydia here. So unfortunately, though, going to stick with the dancing dagger. It is doing damage. He does have the blinks up, as you were saying. D-Mist is only punching. So he's relatively safe. He does have a way to get through the fight. It's just going to be slow with this approach, which is really giving Chaos Hades here maybe a chance to catch back up.
Well, they're side by side, and I did just see the Ether 2 get off. Eddie used it on Rydia at this point, so this is Chaos Hades' opportunity after a relatively slow start, absolutely catching back up.
Chaos Hades also trying to apply this slow there, which is very nice strategy to be using on D-Mist. Unfortunately, done in the Mist form, but no big deal when it doesn't connect there. Chat noting, yeah, xalde probably just isn't familiar with the Lilith Rod. It's true, it's not a rod you'd commonly use as an item, so might just not know what it does.
We have a lot of arrows and a lot of inventory management going on right now. At this point, close out that inventory. Let Bahamut do the work. Just maximize the number of Bahamut casts.
Yeah. Parry with everyone except your Paladin, because you want him to continue to cover your Rydia. And as long as you're doing that and get the Bahamut cast coming out, you should be able to get through this spot. Not super fast, but fast enough.
And it's really just a race. I really appreciate the blink strats that xalde is putting up here, just trying to protect his party as best as possible, knowing that this is going to be a bit of a grind. It does look like Chaos Hades is now also out of magic. I don't know if he has the Lilith Rod as well. This is a slog.
This is going to be a slog. Really, Bahamut was our only source of real damage, so everything else is going to be doing just a few hundred points. So depending on how close you are to that 25,000 points of HP, it's going to take a little while to get through the last bit of life there. I didn't see the Lilith Rod from Chaos Hades, so this might be the end of his MP. He did get multiple casts out there since he got the Ether 2 out. Oh. Pat is saying both picked up the Lilith Rod, so maybe we'll see it from Chaos Hades here. xalde still making good use of those blinks though to stay safe and get through this fight. So he just has to slog it basically, as you're saying. It's a doable fight. It's just going to be slow, and that is unfortunate. It's hard to say though if once he missed that Ether 2 if it was worth the reset or not, especially since he hadn't taken the safety save. Chaos Hades trying to connect with the Chocobo spell. It misses. That's not as big of a concern as Bahamut cast missing, so I'm sure he's not going to be losing sleep over that one. But maybe he'll... we saw him back in his inventory. Maybe he'll hover over the Lilith Rod at some point, which will remind him that he has access to that, and use it to get his MP back onto Rydia.
So yeah, this is... oh my gosh. Chaos Hades, I think, has a little bit better damage. Of all things, because of Warp Axe Cecil, by the way, which I threw up in my mouth just a little bit thinking about that.
But yeah, when everything else is doing just 100, 200 points of damage, a 500 point damage Dwarf Axe, it's starting to look pretty okay. Again, thank goodness they did have Bahamut casts to be able to do at least the first maybe 20,000 points of damage on this spot. If we were looking at just trying to do all 25,000 points of damage with this gear, that would make for a very, very long race. So I am glad we have Bahamut and being able to get through a good portion of the HP pool here.
It is interesting that Chaos Hades is keeping his quorum down. I don't know if that signals that he intends to use that form as an anchor. But I mean, there's no risk getting him up because Cecil is going to auto cover anyone who's weak.
Yep. Could be a sign he's looking then to have a potential anchor. Form's all right as an anchor, not the strongest one, but if you don't really have any other good candidates, definitely something to consider. And we don't say have access to a cursed ring to just make anyone a good candidate to be an anchor at this point.
Chat pointing out He's revived for him a couple times, but revives at 30 HP, and that's more than. Oh god, that's horrible. That's disgusting.
That it's always unfortunate when you have life potion just gives you too much HP and you're not in the critical status. It does look like I have to eat a cold mist here on Chaos Hades' side. Did trigger a fight while in the mist form. Same on Xalde's side. Really not too painful at this spot though.
So, Klopfer, I have a question. What do you think is going through the minds of these two runners right now as they're just like wading their way through
I am so
this?
far behind. This is taking way too long. Oh no, what can I do to speed this fight up is what's going through both of their minds for sure. A fight taking this long definitely is making you feel like, no, there's definitely a faster way of going through this. I am for sure behind my opponent at this point. Definitely Xalde, who missed the Ether 2, is just thinking, hey, if I connected that, I might be done already. This fight's taking me way too long. So I would not be surprised to see both our racers, once they do get it clear through the fight and get into the underground, start doing maybe some more risky plays, going, I'm behind, I need to make up time. Maybe I should check some out of the way location, just hope it has progression, because I need to do something to get back in here now.
So let's get some predictions in chat, because I feel like this fight by itself is going on. Who's through first? Chat, I want to see some predictions. What's going on? Who's through first? Chaos Hades or Xalde? Xalde started the fight, I think, a little bit sooner, but Chaos Hades also, I think, might have gotten. He got an extra Ether 2 off, which I think was at least one Bahamut summon. So. My goodness, this is. It doesn't feel good no matter what it is.
Definitely. But... yeah, a lot of people leaning towards Chaos. I could see that. That extra Bahamut, that's all. That's maybe 30 or so of the current average fight commands we're seeing here. So that's a lot of time to shave off of this fight. Did see in chat maybe with this party they'd like to crack some eggs once they finally get underground. We do have access to sirens. That is an option. This party, as we're seeing, isn't the most powerful, so maybe getting a handful of levels on it. And now that is an interesting thing. Do you feel far enough behind that you go, I don't have time to gain levels? Or do you go, maybe I bet on this being a really long seed. Let me gain some levels now, and I can get through all the boss fights if there's a lot of them faster, and I'll try and make up the time that way.
You know what? I'll be honest. If at this point in the race, if you are at spending a 15-minute fight on a Demas to get the underground access, I'm doing everything I can. Like, if there's a mini grind that I can do to get up to like level 30 quickly, I'm doing it. Like, I don't want to do it. And look, hallelujah,
made it through. Oh, congrats, Chaos Hades. Did make it through that fight. That was a slog. I must be feeling good. I would, the second he's out of here, maybe just a save. Just before doing anything else, just make sure you never have to do that fight again. Certainly we'll see a save before committing a boss fight, but maybe just do it right now. Make sure you don't forget. Everyone is alive too, so gets the XP on his entire party.
This is a message for both Chaos Hades and Xalde, because I know that both of you are going to go back and watch this video. It was much closer than I'm sure it felt at the point in time. Also, I'm sorry. Like, I'm legitimately sorry for both of
you. Taking a sneak peek there at the boss on top of the tower. I believe that was the Odin sprite there. So that's a little scary, actually. There's a lot of HP to get through at that spot. And if you can't kill Odin fast enough, he will go ahead and use the Odin spell and take out your entire party. But we do have... Odin has two weaknesses. Lightning being one of them, and the other being Edward. which Edward can just go ahead and hide away from that Odin spell. And if on the third time he raises his sword, you just hit him with any lightning, say a Thor Rage, he is Thunderstruck, and the fight ends immediately.
Absolutely. It's a cheeky strat and kind of tricky to pull off, but if you can time it just right, and that particular spot, I don't think it's not the speediest. I think it's very doable at that particular location. Not something I would like risk going up and doing keyless combos for.
Yeah, fair enough. I believe, actually, I'm checking, that spot also has very low magic attack. Probably not as current levels he could survive the Odin spell, both maybe just a little more HP on Cecil. That might not even kill him, and so he might be able to just get through there even without resorting to Eddie strats.
And Chaos Hades is going, we're not suffering through anything like that ever again. Let's get some levels. Riddy is
boss
getting
fights
some
will be
virus.
fast from now on. Yeah, this definitely makes sense. You spent that much time on a boss fight. You do not want your boss fights. You definitely do not want to eat any more resets on boss fights, especially in Chaos Hades spot where he's already had to reset a few times. And you want your boss fights to be faster. So any way to gain these levels and just make sure everything you do from this point forward is a lot quicker makes a ton of sense. Xalde does make it through the fight though, so excellent on his side. Again, very safe, just constantly keeping those blinks up and getting his damage out. Just a slog, but he does make it through. About 3 or 4 minutes behind Chaos here. Which definitely makes this, still race for either runners. It's a time difference, but not the biggest one. Depending on which checks are done and maybe some other rude boss locations, it could easily go either way still.
Yeah, lots of things still to be determined. Chaos did go crack a couple eggs, set up, I think, much better with levels. Xalde, we'll see if Xalde does anything else. The prevailing wisdom in free enterprise through the last few tournaments has been always check your freebies. And at this point, we have the Demas check that we can still do. We have the Fade March chest that we can check. And we also have at least a turn in, of Sheila 1 that we can do. All 3 free checks that are available. That Chaos Hades is opting to do some kind of other checks around first. Checking Dwarf Castle, for example.
Yeah, as well as doing a little bit of shopping. He does have access to some money at this point, so maybe find out if there's any stuff he can buy. Maybe still looking for some good gear for his Cecil would be a nice find. But yeah, you're right. There are a lot of free key item checks that could be done right here. I think a lot of this, though, is also how much time can I spend flying around? Because I just spent a lot of my time in that Demas fight.
And Xalde, hallelujah, found an ogre axe finally. So not even a good weapon, like a serviceable weapon for Cecil.
Yeah. Hey, that's something you wish you just had a minute ago for that long Demas fight. An ogre axe would have made a big difference there. Finding just a plague in the first spot here at Dwarf Castle. Definitely not too hard of a fight for Chaos Hades. Though,
Nope.
Not doing the most damage other than Bahamut, but Bahamut doing 6,000 to 7,000 points of damage is almost all of the HP of this location, so it really doesn't have to do too much. So it'll be interesting to see if he tries to just push through or does knock down one of his own characters for safety.
Xalde did find, congratulations, here's a set of Dragoon armor for checking your freebies, because thanks.
Oh. I mean, Dragoon armor is really good armor. I don't think Xalde is particularly happy to have seen that, though. Especially given Cecil already has a set on.
Now, the main reason I'm sure Chaos Hades came here, and the main reason why a lot of us would come here, first of all, free fight in King and Queen Evelyn, so great experience opportunity, but also, hello, Foo.
Oh, very happy to see that, I'm sure. There's that power you wanted to have before you went down the hook ride, but hey, you have it now. Excellent. This party is looking a lot stronger.
Absolutely. We did see Lunar Sparkle and Golbez are just hanging out in the underworld and the Fame Arch bosses. So, no, we will not be checking those anytime in the near future. Didn't even check what the Lunar Sparkle is, but we've seen Plague, we've seen Pale Gin. There's some nasty things that are out there still.
While that is a free fight, the King Queen Eblin, guess Hades choosing to just, let's go ahead and cast Quake. We'll just knock the fight out and get through here even faster than waiting through all the script here. Multiple Fire 1 and Fire 2 casts. And KSA is dropping Edward, kind of chat talking, poor armor Edward. Yeah, hard to kind of decide who you want. You probably don't really need either of them in this party, but Porum does have some utility, being able to cast, more white magic, blank berserk. Edward, hide, sometimes useful. Without the ability to equip the spoon anymore, we're probably going to see Edward kept even less often than he was being kept in the Swiss flags.
Meanwhile, just a Bacchus wine. Where are all the key items? My goodness.
Oh, well, it's not in Miss Village either, so yeah. Good question. Where did the key items go in this seed? Because we are not finding any of them, unfortunately.
Guess what? Like, as soon as I get the Darkness Crystal, I'm going to the moon. I don't care anymore. Like, straight to the moon. Everything's got to be up there, right?
The key items have to be somewhere, and we haven't found them on the blue planet, so must be on the moon at this point. Yep. Definitely makes sense. Check your freebies, as you're saying. Sometimes they don't turn out to be what you want, but you have to check them, just see what's there. So as I go ahead checking Sheila 1, get that one more key item check. As Hades, though, will go find his Dragoon armor waiting in the Fey March, and will almost certainly also peek the bosses. Just need to know where Rubicon is. Might actually take the fight, though. He has a much stronger party here. Or at the very least, he might just see which lunar boss it is and decide if he wants to take it. Between both having picked up the Fu and gained those levels.
And hey, Sheila 1 with the goods. We finally have a key item, and it's an important one, too.
Mm-hmm. So actually getting a key item here, the Twin Harp, which provides us access to music, which is one important part. It also allows us to complete objective number 2, complete cave magnets. I would not be surprised to see that be followed up on, I was going to say immediately, but also that has high magic defense, so it doesn't really have much other power other than his Bahamut cast. But Zod is going to go ahead and follow up on this anyway. I was saying there's very high magic defense in this boss spot. Thankfully, Bahamut is a very strong spell, so it will still probably end up doing some damage. Oh, and potentially. So we should be able to see it punch through and do hopefully enough damage, if not to one-shot the boss, at least to do a few thousand points of damage, and maybe with the second cast clear out the location.
Of course, that's not really the reason that everyone gets excited for Cave Magnets, is it?
No, there's some other reasons. I think some people are already throwing up some harps in chat, and yeah, it was just a claim for music or riot. So I think everyone's happy here to be getting the music.
For those, if you're out there in YouTube land or this is completely new to you, first of all, welcome. But in Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise, we are a randomizer community. We like to shake things up. One of the things we like to shake up is randomizing the harp music, that nasty music that transforms the Fae and really allows us to unlock this particular boss. It's randomized. There's over 250-ish MIDI songs that have been submitted by a variety of members of the community. And so sometimes we just like to sit back and let DJ Spoony B show us exactly what he's made of.
All right, I know I'm excited, so be quiet for a short time and let's all enjoy this tune.
And that was, of course, I think it was Orin's theme. I swear I've heard that one like 80 times or something recently. It's Chaos Hades, meanwhile, did find the D Lunars located over here at the lunar sparkle that we saw in the Fey March. Has the ability to get through it. Just has to really manage things a little bit carefully. Certainly has been able to survive to the breath spot, but just gotta keep pumping out that damage.
Yep, was real close in getting through that fight there on his first try through. Got one D-Lunar down, but unfortunately wasn't able to kill the second, and then that breath attack came out, frogging his entire party, and at that point the fight is pretty much over. And speaking of where are the key items, well, they continue to be high. Xalde getting an Elven Bow for completing the Twin Harp, but hey, objective 2 done, so still has to get done, so not too sad to get through that. But where to next is an open question for him. Maybe check out that Dwarf Castle, as he hasn't been there yet. Keyless Tower is still an open option.
Yeah, I think Dwarf Castle resolved. One of the things I like an early Dwarf Castle check once you get to the underground, particularly if you're not happy with your party, because that is a spot that you can pick up. Not only, it's 2 boss checks, but also a character check as well. And that foo is just wonderful.
In this case, yeah, a very nice reward for doing that character check. And Chaos Hades making it through D-Lunars this time, so good work to him. Nicely done there. Bahamut, again, just being key in getting him through these fights.
And a rat tail. Oh, I hate fetch quests. I hate fetch quests. I hate them.
It is a key item at least, so the drought has maybe ended. Maybe we're going to start finding key items at this point. We have to. They have to be somewhere. They are indeed in this seed, so we will start finding them eventually. You want to find a tail. I'm sure Chaos Hades was hoping that was the pink tail instead. But, hey, maybe that's what reward. Maybe he has a rat tail into pink tail turned in.
It could happen. I mean, it's not unheard of. Not what you would call ideal.
Now, Chaos Hades has been doing a lot of his underground checks here, so he does have both the D-Mist and Sheila 1 to turn in, so he's going to have to head above ground anyway. So he does have good opportunity to go ahead and turn in that red tail when he's up there doing other checks anyway. So it won't be too out of the way. I imagine he's going to try to just group all those overall checks together at once.
Oh, and Chaos Hades is saying, hey, let's give this Golbez a shot. This is... Okay, keep in mind, Asura is the single fastest spot in the entire game. So this can be a challenge. He has preemptively cast Mini on his entire party. The reason for that is that there's kind of a stack rank of attributes that your party have, afflictions that can affect your party. At this point in time, Golbez's stun, his hold gas, will not work if you have any other status effect on. Mini, Piggy, Venom, if you can get a Venom cast off on your party before he does his ha-ha-ha dialogue. So a lot of runners do this to kind of preemptively say, even though I'm not held on, so you can queue up a Star Veil or something along that line to make sure that your party can survive.
And we can see here, able to get a start. Is that a Star Veil he cast?
That's...
Okay, alright. There's a Star Veil on Rydia.
That's a bold move, Cotton. We'll see
All right.
how it plays out.
Yeah, as long as the Star Veil goes up, this fight is won. Golbez, after this opening script, only casts magic. And so if you have Star Veil up, you are protected. Actually really nice at this spot is Asura has pretty high magic attack power. Asura has, well, at least less life than the Leviathan spot. So with that really, the combination of those two means you can get through this fight likely before your Star Veil runs out. if targeting works, if he goes in and actually hits himself by hitting the person with Star Veil.
Yeah, this is classic board-based AI. Shout out to Boardface, the original creator and programmer of the Free Enterprise randomizer. Getting a Bahamut off and then just like, okay, let's just let you bounce everything off because he's going to go burr.
Really nice to get that extra damage from Bahamut in here, just to make sure enough damage goes in before your Star Veil runs off. That being said, you do still have to get at least one more attack in after they cross over their HP threshold here, as the counter attacks will not trigger the end of the fight. Hopefully this Bahamut will do it, because that Star Veil has been up for a little while at this point.
Yeah, so Golbez goes down. So Chaos Hades eschewing all the free checks and opting to stay into the underground. Fusonia is now at full power. We'll have Nuke. Just a power shirt. That means our progress to the overworld is in that keyless tower check of all places. Wow.
Now, as Killen Woods in chat was noting, Chaos Hades might have gotten ahead and done both of these checks because he's feeling really behind. He took a few wipes early on. That Demoness fight took a long time, and so he's maybe thinking, I just have to do the out of the way stuff. That's why he didn't go ahead and do his freebies. So he might actually go ahead and do this keyless tower if he's still feeling like no, I have to do weird stuff out of the way checks to just get back into this race. So maybe he'll go ahead and commit to that keyless tower and find that. Well, he does have the rat tail too, which is maybe a chain.
I do want to give a quick shout out to our folks behind the scenes, Neo Bari for the free stream and for rolling this fantastic seed that we all get to watch right now, and also to our wonderful tracker Taven, who's pushing all the buttons and not eating a single one yet. That is an accomplishment for our tracking team, not eating the buttons and only pushing them. So thank you to both Taven and for Neo Bar.
Yeah, definitely huge thanks to them. Without the behind the scenes team, we wouldn't be able to see and do any of these races. So huge thanks to them, as well as all just the admins behind the entire LaliHo League. It's a lot of work, and we all appreciate it. It's a lot of fun, both in racing and in viewing. All right, so Chaos Hades, sure enough, is going to go ahead and start doing these overworld checks. They have multiple things to get done here. Turning in the Rat Tail, turning in Sheila 1, turning in D-Mist. We know at least they'll get the Twin Harp, so that's one good check. And Rat Tail is the possible progression to the rest of this seed as we're starting to run out of places to go.
All right, so Rat Tail for Chaos Hades, an hour 17 into this.
For key item, maybe number 4, I suppose 5 if we count the Twin Harp we've seen on the other side.
Hey, that's an objective, but it's not what we want.
Well, I don't know, but I'm always happy seeing an objective, so that's something you want. But yeah, I suppose the progression into the rest of the seed does look like it's going to be hanging out at the top of Keyless Tower.
Well, let's look at it this way. So we have Chaos Hades is about to get the Twin Harp, and he will immediately dart over and do the Twin Harp. Xalde has some more work to do at this point in time. So Chaos Hades is kind of moving along in this seed. So he's going to have very quickly 2 objectives done, both completing the Cocoa Forge and also completing Cape Magnus, which means really, we're a pink tail or a Rubicon fight away from Gomo. And we already have a 50-50 idea of where Rubicon is.
Yep. Definitely. Good for Xalde going ahead and checking. Although he has size on some people. I thought I saw a full-size Cecil there. Okay, yep, size on some members of his party here. So tackling Golbez's fight first, which is somewhat unfortunate since we know this one's just the power shirt, but likely going to go ahead and check at least the D Lunars and hopefully see he can take it since we know that does give him Legend Sword. But you're right, Chaos Hades, once he does go ahead and get the Twin Harp and turn that in and turn in his Forge, one more objective. That's going to start feeling really close. And if you say find Darkness Crystal at the top of the tower there, do you just start face checking all of the boss locations that opened up to you? Maybe the Baron Sprite is your final objective. Maybe it isn't.
See, I'm still hoping for a little bit more rudeness because Seed has done nothing but be rude.
They've had enough already.
No, I want all the rudeness to get out this week before I have my races next week. Come on, get it out, get it done.
Fair enough. This one definitely has rudeness, and there is still opportunity for there to be plenty of rudeness left here. We could have Rubicon hiding in some very far away, hard to get spot, maybe a second location on Giant, so you can't even just space check it quickly and reset. And Pinktail could be up on the moon behind some long chain. So there still could be plenty of really rude seed left. We'll just have to see.
Zal, meanwhile, letting Boo do all the work right now. And Killing Wood says,
well, Golbez is helping out a little here.
I mean, yeah, it's true. He's Fire 2 doing 2,300 damage. Oh my god. Killing Wood says it's pretty amazing that no keys are available until they head to the moon. Not necessarily. We haven't seen the top of tower, and top of tower could absolutely be something like the Baron. Anything that will hide another key item at this point in time. So it could be Baron Key, it could be Tower Key, it could be Luca Key. It won't be Magma Key.
Any of the keys except Magma Key at this point. And looks like we're getting an encore of the music here from Chaos Hades side.
Well, that was a significantly shorter fight.
Bahamut, it's a good summon.
Bahamut does a lot of work. I mean, the Elven Bow is kind of insulting, honestly, but
I'm objective being lit up though, so happy enough to have done this location, even with just the Elven Bow. So checking out the D Lunars, and hopefully we'll be able to get through this fight, as we do know that leads to the Legend Sword, so important to get another objective clicked off. KF Hades realizing, I really don't have anywhere left to go. Time to head up tower. Find out which progression that is.
Yeah, we know this is, when you think about the flow chart of how a seed can go, this is the quintessential bottleneck. You can go everywhere else in seed, but you have to go here. You can clear everything out, but this is the only route that you can go to continue any sort of progression. We're 3 of 5 objectives possibly complete. Zald will, I imagine, be following that right along. Neither of these runners did a keyless tower check before, and keyless tower is really the option, the only gate at this point. So if they didn't already feel behind getting into the underworld at almost an hour in, they will absolutely feel behind now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially Chaos Hades maybe was like committing to that Fey March, hoping to get ahead, doing some out of the way checks. Maybe not feeling too bad though, because that did get the Legend Sword, so it's not like that was an entire bust for him. But yeah, you do have to feel like an hour and 25 minutes in, and literally I put off the only progression as my very last check. Yeah, you're feeling behind at this point.
Meanwhile, Xalde is, hey, Lunar Frogs. Great strat there.
Like to see it. So if you don't have enough damage yourself to take on the D-Lunars to get them done before the breath phase, well, that's not a problem. Just throw up a handful of walls, and apparently they can turn themselves into frogs. While you are not able to toad them, they can toad themselves.
So to answer a question in chat that's going on, this is one of the changes from the Swiss flags to the bracket flags. This is the classic Forge the Sword. The Excalibur that normally is given to you from forging the sword is mixed up into the key item pool somewhere. So instead of him forging the sword and handing you an Excalibur, he is instead super greedy and says, I'm going to keep this. Deal with it. So it's just an objective turn, and you have no weaponry at all. It does open up a shop, and we did see Chaos Hades buy a stack of 10 Artemis arrows, which is nice. Not thrilling, but nice.
Definitely, it's challenging to take advantage of that shop on this flag set because of Cell Zero. You can't just build up the same giant pool of money you might be able to otherwise. So unless you've maybe already been to the moon and done grinding up there, or taking on some boss fights, you're probably not going to be able to afford any of the really good gear for sale there. And Chaos Hades did come top tower, as expected, and finding that Odin, that, well, we knew the Odin was here, and seeing if he'll be able to DPS down before the Odin cast, or if it does come out, just how much does it hit at this location?
I honestly don't think we're going to get an answer because we're pumping out damage right and left. We got lit arrows, we got nukes, we got Bahamut's flying. Like this is not going to take too terribly long either. So
Is they're going through for the nuke cast as opposed to the lightning 3 cast. Nuke comes out much faster, so even though lightning 3 might do more damage at this spot, sometimes you just want to get that fast cast out to make sure you get in before, say, the Odin spell. And there we go, Odin dealt with. And let's find out what chain this is, because it's got to lead us somewhere. Ooh, that's an interesting find there.
Yeah, I mean, I said earlier in the race that as soon as you found that Baron key, it doesn't matter what else you have, you're going to beeline there. Well, we don't have any other options, so we're just going to go there.
Yep, definitely. So that really interesting though, because if that is our 5th objective, that puts Chaos Hades in go mode. He does have a pass. That is a way to get to Zeromus, so he just needs to get sufficient power to feel like he can take that fight on, and he can go at any point in time once he finishes that 5th objective.
Now, there were Star Veils available. I did see them available in some shop. This is setting up very easily to be a kind of, I think the proper terminology for this particular Zeromus strat is food and friend. Where effectively you have a bunch of people who throw Star Veils up on themselves. You slow Zeromus down as much as you can, and then you just throw whatever J items you have at him and let him counter nuke himself to death at this point.
Yep, definitely very possible. It's a little trickier on this flag set because again, that Cell Zero means building up enough money to maybe buy things to do that. You won't be able to say necessarily just buy Star Veils and Vampires as we normally see with those. But if you found enough J items or found enough, or able to buy enough Star Veils, cool. That's definitely a way to get through this fight. Fu will definitely help though with just the access to the spells he has.
Yeah, the reason simply because Fu can throw his regular nukes in addition with everything else and reflect off. And even Rydia at this point can throw some virus or some level 3 spells at this point in time. So the rest of the party is not worthless.
With the gear Rydia has to, like those level 3 elemental spells will hit quite hard as well. So definitely able to get quite a bit of damage that way. So probably doesn't need to even do a ton more grinding to be able to get through that fight.
Absolutely. So Chaos Hades, yeah, making that beeline, recognizes the position he's in. This is the most important check that's going to happen. If it's elements, he'll have to just continue to roll. But if this is Rubicon, show me Rubicon.
What is it?
Hey.
Oh boy. Alrighty. We're about to enter go mode here. Will not be a hard fight given all the levels we've gained up to this point and access to Fu.
Yeah, and at this point, I think, as chat's pointing out, hey, you got your final boss done. You're in go mode. You got your crystal. You leave. You don't finish this off. You have the pass. You don't even really need the darkness crystal. You go find some star veils and honestly call it good. The only thing I might do is complete the boss to get the character, and I think that's what Chaos Hades is going to do because he's not really been managing his agility. So let's kill this boss real quick, get a level 0 agility, so you can RA1 this, and just go. However, is this going to be a fast fight or a long fight? Oh boy.
Sure. Who are you hoping to find as your character here for a good agility anchor? Oh,
oh my gosh, he reset out.
Yeah, that was going to be a fast fight. So, yeah, I understand that. Reset on out. Just go ahead and do this fight again and leave this location. It probably is going to be faster, as well as. I'm trying to think, which character would you like to see from this to get your agility anchor done? Because, well, unfortunately, we're not allowed to get any duplicate characters at this point. And so your best, like, low-level character anchors are Rydia. She's already in the party. And your second best is Borum. She's already in the party. Maybe hoping for Sid, because I believe Chaos Hades does have that Dwarf Axe. So that Sid would probably be an all-right hit.
I also see that Drain Sword that still gives minus quite a bit of agility. Yep. Hey, I'll take a cane. I will take a cane and have him sit on the floor with that Drain Sword, and it will be fantastic.
But not worth going through that fight on the throne. So Chaos Hades just going to head on out this time.
Yeah,
and does pick up his Baron key, and will sure not be heading in Baron, because where else would he go? So, although where else to go? So, sure enough, we'll just have to follow up on this Baron key.
Yeah, so Xalde's going to follow up on the Baron key. Chaos Hades has a decision to make. You know, how many levels do you want to go?
This goes back to what we were talking about 40 minutes ago of how far behind do you feel you are? So how risky do you need to make your Z fight here because you think you're not in good shape already and every second counts? So I'm sure that's weighing heavily on Chaos Hades right now is, can I afford to do any more grinding, or do I just have to go and hope the fight goes a little lucky and I can get through it?
I think you just gotta go. This is why we practice. This is why we practice those kind of low-level Fu and Friends strats, because not every seed is going to gift you with an X-Cal Cecil and a Rosa, and it's just such a, kind of turn off your brain. You have to be ready for that, especially in the bracket flags. You just gotta hope. Looks like Chaos Hades is actually prepping for a grind. Wants to go either buy some Bacchus or some extra Sirens.
I do believe he went through his entire stack of Sirens earlier, so this does look like it's going to be a grind to pick up some more Sirens. As he doesn't really have great target for Bacchus, just the Cecil, and he could cast Berserk anyway, so it's likely going to be a grind here as opposed to looking for those Star Veils. And oh, yep, wants some Sirens, but needs to clear out the bag first.
Yeah, I get it. It's not fantastic. But okay, so we have Sirens now. So there's going to be a bit of a grind. That's interesting because while it's maybe safer, okay, keep in mind also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's only got 17
It's not
items.
10. It's definitely not 10. So the XP is going to be a lot lower here. So even going ahead, because he does still only have access to the egg grind, because no darkness means can't go to the moon for any of those, better per siren XP turn-ins. He's going to just have to focus on the eggs here, which while are fast, you're not going to get even doing how many sirens does he end up having? Oh, he does have 9 sirens.
Okay. Here's the trick. Like, if Rosa can get over 2,000 hit points here with the 9 sirens, then it'll be safe. Because then your Cecil, it'll be Cecil and Rosa and just letting those two go to town, and that'll be fine.
Or if Chaos Hades has a certain target he's trying to hit, I'm sure he does have something in mind here, and is that the 2,000 HP on Rosa? Because again, 9 Sirens is a decent amount. He gets to do quite a few fights, but without 10 key items, you're only looking at 300,000 experience here. It's not the largest amount of experience. Is it going to get you high enough levels? Maybe. You've done a handful of other boss fights, so you have already built up some XP on your party here, but you're really not going to hit like power overwhelming levels.
No, and I don't think at this point you expect to hit power overwhelming levels. You just go as best you can and hope. This is rough.
Oh.
Like, this is not what anyone who plays this game for fun does.
No, this is fun for the viewers, right? Xalde is actually committing to the gauntlet fight here, so did want to go, I want that character, I want that anchor, let's go ahead and do this fight. Sees what it is, goes, okay, I can get through this. I have access to Buzi, I can cast Spyrus, Radiant cast Spyrus. We have multiple AoE attacks here, we can get through this fast enough.
And on Xalde's side, Fu actually had to steal MP at this point in time. Oh, oh God. I mean, just seeing how close these two runners ultimately are.
Yeah, definitely. For a very long and grueling seed in many locations, these racers are still, neck and neck here. There's a lot of opportunity for either of them to pull this race off, and interesting to see the divergence here. Like, who is this character? What is the item behind here? Will that end up making a significant difference?
I mean, and so far, I'm not going to spoil anything for the brackets, but we've had some close finishes up through this tournament, so you never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, definitely not. It's gonna be exciting right to the end of this one, I'm sure. Get through this 4 out of 5 here. So it almost made it to the end. So, your result at this one. Who are you hoping to see as your character? Is there any item you're hoping to get out of this check?
I mean, if there's an item, honestly, I'm hoping for the Excalibur at this point. Like, so I want the Excalibur, and I want King, because I've seen green swords, and I've even seen a green spear out there. That's about as good of an anchor as you can hope to get. Level 10, it's going to be low level, and you can equip them with something that'll drop his agility down to 1. That's what I'm hoping for. Not that Tella isn't good, not that Yang or Palom wouldn't be fine. Any of the characters we haven't seen, but a Kane would be ideal. Yes!
Seeing exactly who you want to there, getting that Kane, who can become a pretty good Jody. Bye, Kane. Bye.
Thanks. So, twist the knife harder.
Oh. fair enough. He does have levels. Maybe likes his party as it is. He wants to have that slightly higher level characters, and so we'll just go ahead and say bye to Kane. Still does have that item check here though, so maybe he will get rewarded with that nice Xcal sword waiting for him. Although we do need progression, and so it's possible it's not in the pot here. It is possible it's on the basement throne, but it's got to be in one of those two spots, so it's a little more likely we're seeing
something. It has to be something. Oh, there's okay. So now we have access to the moon,
which does provide different grinding options. So there's a chance that we'll also want to grind and do so at a different location. Again, XP per siren is higher on the moon, so you don't have to say he bought a larger stack and I don't think he uses many of them, so might be able to grind. Or let's go take the fight.
He's going.
All right. Oh.
No. Oh.
Save. Okay. So I wonder if this is a shopping stop. Or again, mages.
Star Veils are right here.
Okay, Star Veils. Yeah. Ooh, Ethers. That's interesting. More MP. Okay.
Worth noting, they're one of the longtime traditions within the free enterprise community. Once we get to the bracket stages, is our bracketology. We've had community members submit their brackets and see exactly how it's going on. Of all of the opening round matchups, and there's been fantastic matchups in the opening round, Chaos Hades versus Xalde is the closest matchup in terms of the split between the two. Xalde is favored in 63% of the brackets, and Chaos Hades is favored in 37%. It's really just kind of a 60-40 split, all things said. Very, very close split between the two of them. So the community really, it's a best of 3 match between these two, but this is very close.
Yeah, definitely. The community seems to be right on this. Right idea. This seat's been really close this entire time. Some back and forth between these two runners. Very exciting to watch because it's been hard to predict what was going to happen next in this entire thing. Although Chaos Hades does think he's ready, or potentially maybe just ran out of Siren, so has to be ready, and is going to go ahead and take on this Z fight. Speaking of the Z fight, I'm seeing some stuff show up in chat.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too. Those Z flags. I wonder what that could mean.
Oh, Berserk now. Hint us. It's nap time. It's time for a nap.
Oh, okay. Is that what it means?
Good advice.
Okay.
Okay. So, as noted earlier with our Twin Harp, this is a randomized game. We like to randomize what we can. So all those boss spots are juggled, randomized around, but we can't do that for Zeromus. He's way too mean, way too complex to put him anywhere else. So he needs to stay where he is at the end of the game every time. But then he wouldn't be randomized if that's all we did. So we need to get some randomization for that Zeromus fight. So with not being able to change the script, we don't have too many options left. So what we ended up doing is he gets a new sprite every time. And so pulled from a very, very large pool of different sprites, all expertly made. Very exciting to see, which leads us to asking a very important question as we come towards the endgame fight every seed. And Deja, if you would like to ask the question for today.
Sure, I want to make sure, let me clear my throat. Get it. Whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
I'm glad I handed that over to you. There was no way I was going to top that asking the question.
So,
all right.
Xalde's doing something kind of spicy.
This is interesting. That is interesting. So, we're talking about different options for grinding. Darkness Crystal opens up the non-siren grind. You can do the D machine grind here, which is access to great XP. But a flag we even had on from the Swiss flag is Vanilla Giant, where once you're in the Giant, there's only one way out of the Giant, which is through the 2 bosses. So this makes for a long way to grind, although a lot of XP by doing this.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a long grind here, and oh my,
that's a terrifying butt. I don't recognize it, but terrifying.
Yeah, I might need some help with chat on this one. Oh, this is the after years? Okay, guys, I have a confession to make. I've never actually even gotten to the moon in after years. Like, I know that's where we eventually go, but I've not even been to the moon. I'm sorry, I failed on
I honestly both didn't recognize this. We do see Chaos Hades starting off with the Silk Web here to go ahead and slow down Zeromus, make the rest of the fight a little safer. As well as that first Big Bang getting nerfed. All Xalde is setting up looks like the D-Machine grind. Oh, good news, we have an official ruling. It's okay to not play the after years.
I appreciate the official ruling, but I feel like, okay, here's the deal. I feel bad about never finishing the after years more than I feel bad about never finishing 7.
No, you should play 7. Oh, that's a good one.
I keep hearing that.
Chaos Hades, sure enough, is going ahead and reflecting a bunch of spells back, both through Fusaya and Rydia here. Nukes and Fire 3s each doing a few thousand points damage. At least so far attacking with Cecil. I'm not sure if he'll continue doing that. Hoping to do hybrid strats here, or just get close to that tipping point for the second phase, and then maybe stop attacking with Cecil.
So, yeah, I mean, I got to imagine is setting up trying to get at least some damage rolling, because otherwise this will be hard. That was a rough reflect, counter nuke there.
Looks like Rosa only got up to Cure 3, so can't even unfortunately Cure 4 at the party, I believe. Oh. Good damage coming out of Nuke. Or Nuke Fusaya there, so. And looks like that nerf Big Bang was timed correctly, so.
Already a black hole. Wow, this feels like a not fantastic Zeromus setup here. We're gonna hold on tight though.
I think it also does he have abilities to give Fusaya some more MP to be able to keep throwing out those nukes. I know Xalde picked up the Ether too, so he definitely has the ability to do so, but I didn't see Chaos Hades do the same thing.
Did we just put the wall up on Z-Man? Did I see that right?
Oh. Potentially. I'm not too sure why.
I mean, in the meantime, Xalde is over here doing his D-Machine grind. This is not something we've seen too terribly often in this particular tournament. It was popularized. I mean, it's been around for a long time, but it was kind of the mean way of grinding back in Highway to the 3-miss zone.
Yeah, definitely. Much harder to get sirens in that set, so this was a very good grind to do at that point. Even with the inability to run, the very clever community found out ways to still guarantee the fight by taking fights outside of the giant. So to see something different in this flag set, Vanilla Giant was introduced, requiring you to finish the giant if you come inside, which, as you might expect, made this grind a lot less popular. Chaos Hades is berserking up Cecil now, so looking like maybe hybrid strats?
Yeah, probably abandoning Fu and Friends and going pure hybrid strats at this point in time. Going to have to nerf every Big Bang, though. And that's going to be the real trick, because Rosa does not have enough HP to survive a high roll bit.
This is definitely making things interesting. As we noted, xalde is doing a very long grind. This will take a long time, but it's a really good source of XP. His levels will actually be really good for taking on ch4osh4des, and ch4osh4des is looking like it's going to be a long fight. And as you noted, a somewhat hard fight because he does have to nail every single one of those nerfs. And if you miss one of those, that could be it. That could result in a reset, which gives xalde a chance of getting back into this race.
So I need some help because normally ch4osh4des has a counter script. When you use a summon on him, he will counter with I believe a nuke. But I think that 9999 triggered the HP refill, so we're in the second phase, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly what looks like happened. ch4osh4des must have just been counting his damage there, felt real confident on his Bahamut roll, and just went, I don't have to worry about this counter nuke, and just threw out that Bahamut to just pile in some more damage. Working well there, so getting into that second phase, so halfway through the fight.
Really doing a fantastic job of keeping his HP up and going, though. That can be difficult to do, especially when you don't necessarily have control or you're working with weird anchors.
Yeah, exactly. You might even have to be watching his MP levels here on Rosa. Just how many Cure 3s and Cure 4s is she going to be able to cast, because it's going to take quite a few to get through this fight. As well as having to watch where do those counter nukes go, because having, say, Rosa get hit by one is going to be a scary situation, because a nuke followed by the even the nerf Big Bang will take her out.
Here comes I think this is going to be a higher roll Big Bang, yeah. But hey, Rosa and Cecil survived, so you're good.
Excellent. So,
meanwhile,
oh boy, how much of these? Oh, well, it's a good thing he did his grind first. So he has these HP levels to actually be able to survive the attacks from Pain Man here. So as you were noting, this was a very friendly Mage Seed, which gave Rosa some really high-end gear, and so like that white shirt, maybe any other stuff she has on, just must have given her enough magic defense for even for that unnerfed Big Bang, she's able to survive.
And at this point, Chaos is going, hey, let's get people up.
Yeah, definitely.
Point. That said, xalde gets through the Dark Knight Cecil fight, lives, which is, hey, let's be honest, that's as fast as I've ever seen that particular spot get through.
Yeah, Elements is normally a very, very long spot. There's a lot of HP there. They're very fast, so unless you've anchored perfectly, are going to get hit a lot. But hey, no problem here, as long as you can survive those three waves. Fight's over. Get your big pile of experience and move on to the CPU spot to get out of the Giant.
Oh no, there's a Big Bang. Unnerfed, I don't know. It's probably just going to be Cecil and Rosa all over again. Spent all that time getting them up.
Everyone up. Although, they do both survive again, so the fight continues for ch4osh4des here. Yeah. It is going to be hard to pick up his entire party. I wonder if he wants to just focus on a smaller portion of his party and just pick up them. Looks like getting up Porum first, who does have access to white magic as well, so maybe also the ability to heal the rest of the party. Oh boy. Well, with the rest of the really, really rude seed, we found where the easy bosses are, or at least the fast bosses. They're hanging out in Giant, as Dark Imps is at the CPU spot.
And hey, we didn't have enough levels anyway, so we're going to go ahead and do life glitches on the Dark Imps.
I mean, when you don't have 10 key items, you could always use a little more experience, so why not?
Alright. He's trying to kill his Cecil off. He's trying to, like, hey, Cecil's going to be my anchor, so I need to make sure that he stays down.
ch4osh4des did get a nerf off of that Big Bang, so his party's looking in much better shape this time around. multiple of them staying up and getting off another round of healing. So it looks like some stabilization is going on his side. They will let him get out some more damage here, throwing up another Bahamut cast.
I'm a little worried about HP or MP at this point in time. It's going to get tight, but xalde is done with his grind.
All right. Maybe there's another Kane here, and he'll take him.
That's not a bad anchor.
Another potential anchor. I believe Chaos Hades had the Dwarf Axe, not xalde. So you got all those levels on your party. Do you really take another character?
If I'm worried about the anchor, yeah, I do.
Yes, yeah, there's still a reason to. And let's see what xalde though does not. He's happy with this party. It's time to go take on Z.
Another Bahamut cast on Chaos Hades' side. Counter virus.
Scary part of that is he's hitting all of the party, which brings Rosa down into scarier levels where if this nerf on the Big Bang doesn't hit, it'd be hard to survive a full strength one.
xalde still not happy with levels. Gonna level 50 exactly for September. 26. Oh. I'm gonna siren up. And Chaos Hades reset.
Oh no!
This is still anyone's race.
Yep, it really is. That's rough, definitely. It's so far into that race, or into that, had done a lot of damage. Even that second phase there of Zeromus to take a wipe there is very painful. But hey, xalde is not even in the fight yet, so there's Chaos Hades still has an opportunity here. And xalde looking to get that Jody situation set up correctly.
Yeah, Neobari is pointing out he's setting up Cecil's agility, and this is so agility anchoring is I would argue the single most complex thing about Final Fantasy IV for Enterprise. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and to be fair, we didn't really talk about it too much. We just probably talked about agility and anchoring and who's a good anchor a whole lot here. Won't go into too much detail here as we're probably entering another Z fight, but the very broad strokes of the idea is that when you're fighting fast bosses, you want to really slow characters your anchor, which is generally the middle spot of your party. And when you're fighting, so Zeromus being a very fast spot, if you get really, really slow character in the middle, if the rest of your characters become equally fast as that very fast boss, and just your middle characters slow. And so that's what we're trying to do. So we were talking about getting some slow characters like low-level Kane or Sid. The other option, at least for the Z fight, is get your agilities to be multiples of 14. So xalde is probably trying to hit the 28 agility. 14 itself isn't all that useful, but 28 and then whatever other multiples 14 higher than that are kind of the other breakpoints to get as fast as you can compare to Zeromus.
It's witchcraft. And Chad is absolutely right. Agility anchoring is witchcraft in Final Fantasy IV. In Final Fantasy IV in general, the original game, it worked because it was jank early 90s programming and you could just tie it all to the main character because he never left your party. Can't quite do that when we randomize everything.
Yeah, definitely. But being able to agility anchor, even with, say, having vanilla agility anchoring on, or just whatever characters you have whom you might not have easy ways of manipulating their agility, can make hard fights into easy fights, or not being able to do it can make the fight just a real challenge to get through, as we're finding. Chaos Hades does not, unfortunately, have the best agility situation, which is definitely making this fight harder.
I mean, not that Zald has too much better, although he managed his. I mean, Zald is set up, I think, with perfect 28 agility, which is exactly what you want. You'll have a silk web. I've seen some silk webs. We haven't seen anyone throw a silk web up to this point in time, trying to adjust everything. But this will be interesting between the parties to see. It's just about maintaining control throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. Now, all those extra levels Zald got puts him in a much safer position in this fight, in which if he does eat a full strength Big Bang, much more of his party is likely to survive it. Rosa having 2600 HP, she can survive a full strength Big Bang if she's been fully healed. Cecil, tons of HP, he can definitely handle one. So he's looking at much safer at taking this fight on. But ch4osh4des is never totally safe. There's always things that can go wrong. Full strength Big Bang into a Meteor is a lot of damage, so there's still things that could go poorly, even for this much higher level party Zald is bringing into the fight.
Now, both runners now at 0 miss. ch4osh4des has already taken one reset out. Zald took the time to level up. Did the rarely done D-Machine grind.
I mean, the harder access to Sirens here, because of just the money situation we've been talking about, maybe it's going to make Giant look a little more appealing again, because if you really go, my only good way through this is with Power Overwhelming, Giant's a way to get that still. You can go ahead and take that D-Machine fight for as much XP as you want, and then get even pile more of XP on your way out of the Giant.
There was that counter nuke from the Bahamut that we had not seen in that first round for ch4osh4des. Zald, meanwhile, set up very nicely. We're at the 2-hour mark now.
Definitely fair for this seed. Despite not having to go to the moon, this seed still found a way to be very rude and thus push us towards a 2-hour long seed.
Yeah, that's worth mentioning, chat. This is a 2-hour feed and didn't go to the moon. Like, didn't touch it. Okay, Zald went up to the moon because he anyway, you stay out there, no darkness crystal.
No option to go to the moon if you wanted to. Yeah, definitely, and as well as not having the 10 key items, because again, typically, when you have these really long seeds, you hit 10 key items, which is, okay, at least your grind's going to be fast, but... Oh, sometimes you just get really, really rude starts, and that's what we saw in this scene.
It's true. Looks like, I mean, Zald, the damage is kind of flowing out very, very nicely from him.
I mean, all those levels gives him access to the really high tier spells on his, well, all of his 4 casters here. So he's going to really be able to dish out this damage.
Dueling Big Bangs. And even though ch4osh4des, that looked like a nerf Big Bang, still took out that forum. This is one of those party comps, and they have the same party comps between the two of them, but Rydia and Porum both have the 2 of the lowest hit point growth as you're going through that are still considered like end game viable. You know, I don't count Edward because they're if they're not dead, you're not doing something.
Tella's great to bring as an anchor. He serves purpose. But yeah, definitely. Definitely, the HP growth on Rydia and Porum make it really hard for them to survive full strength Big Bangs. So, although the levels we kind of see on Zald makes it possible, Rydia does end up getting a lot of magic defense, so sometimes she can survive even with lower HP pools. I'm sure we're seeing full reflect strats here from Zald. So we'll just watch the all the magic go off, and we don't have to get through all of the HP with this strategy.
ch4osh4des still continuing trying to nerf the Big Bangs, and immediately into the Big Bang after the crystal. I don't know if ch4osh4des has adjusted his battle speed at all, because that's a good call. It did nerf it, but I don't think I've seen the battle speed go down, which would absolutely help. And now I'm going to get stuck with a Porum. Oh, no, get secured.
All right. Yeah, I don't believe either of them touched. Okay, chat saying Chaos did set it to battle speed 3. But
Okay,
I did see Xalde open his menu, so.
Now, on Chaos Hades' side, you did see that virus that went out. That's an indication that we are still in phase 1. He will cast in phase 1,
cool.
When you're not doing damage quick enough, he will cast virus. In phase 2, he'll start casting nuke.
Phase 2 seems a little ruder there. Chad actually confirming Xalde also running on battle speed 3. So definitely a good idea for trying reflect strats. Helps you get those commands in much easier. Do you need to watch for the black hole to come with there? Because that will strip away your reflect from your star veil. So try not to nuke your own Fuseya. It's considered kind of rude to do that.
And that Bahamut there indicated that, no counters. That does indicate we're now in phase 2 over on Chaos 80 side. I feel like we're also there on Xalde's side.
Has he done a direct attack?
I don't know if he's done a direct attack. That's actually a good question. It's been mostly reflected magic, so might just be going for.
I feel like he's aiming for the reflect strat, so I don't believe we'll see phase 2 on his side. And also, we should be getting close to the Antis Aromas here with the damage numbers coming up from these spellcasts if he's going for reflect.
Flash,
yeah, sure enough. There it is.
And there it is. Xalde does win this race with a final time of 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 21 seconds. GG's, and I do believe we're now joined by GG's.
Possibly. Check. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
How? Actually, I have many questions about this seed. Let me get my notes. First, I'm blind. Were there tents or cabins somewhere that I missed?
I don't recall seeing
I didn't see
whatsoever.
any.
Yeah.
Saw Chaos Hades definitely stopping into Chocobo Forest to get MP heals, so I'm going with no.
Yeah, that was my biggest head scratcher, especially going into the hook seed with all that jazz, and yeah. Anyway, how did I win? Because I had way too many head desk mistakes. Like, I should have reset out of D-Mist so that way I could actually Bahamut it to death. And then I wasn't even sure that the D-Machine grind was going to pay off. That was just like a huge gamble because I didn't have 10 key items and I didn't have a good other way to grind other than get Sirens, except I had no money.
I mean, definitely I recommend watching this. See, there's a lot of interesting stuff that happened there, and as you noted, I think kind of just at that start on that hook route, running into D-Mist, and that fight taking a really long time, it ended up taking Chaos Hades a long time too. You guys were neck and neck coming out of that fight. He did get out of the fight a little faster than you, but it wasn't all that much faster. So you were in the underground and really in that same kind of time range. So that race was still really neck and neck. And to your call on the D-Machine grind, that was, you're right, a gamble. It was the, hey, let's make sure we can beat the Z fight, which I totally understand after having a very grueling D-Miss. You probably were not looking forward to a grueling Z fight as well. That ended up working in your favor. It's Chaos Hades went in definitely before you, but with a much lower party team, and it just ended up not working for him there. The Zeromus just got off, unfortunately, some unnerfed Big Bangs, which was too much for the levels of his party.
Yeah, I know that pain. I noticed that my crystal to try to nerf it was slightly off, and that kind of caught me by surprise. Also, I learned a valuable lesson about agility anchoring. I couldn't remember if it was better to go slightly under or slightly over, and I was wrong in the decision to go slightly under. I should not have equipped that Drain Sword on Cecil.
Yeah, slightly under is really, really bad when you're at that 27 agility. It's painful.
So I noticed.
So walk me through as you're going through here. The bottleneck getting into the underground at almost an hour mark because the early game was uh, not fun. And then once that happens, you got bottlenecked at Keyless Tower. This was just one of those seeds that really seemed to play havoc with a racer mentality because of how long it
took. Well, in the overworld, trying to get my characters, I'm like, okay, low power. Rosa was a nice start, and then Rydia, and then Edward, and I was just sad. And then I found Dancing Daggers, which made me happy, and I think the Dancing Daggers carried a lot of the early game too. And then by the time I cleared the overworld and was like, where are the key items? I went to Eblan to just hopefully find something, because I didn't have anything. Maybe I should have done the water pass or something. Maybe there's some golden items there, but I was so happy to find the Bahamut, because then I finally had a key to get through the hook. And then once I went through Hook, got underground, I wanted to go to Feymarch right away just to do key item checks to maybe find something. And then, I don't know, just one thing led to another and led to another. And then finally, when I cleared Barren Castle and got my Darkness Crystal, I was thinking about grinds and didn't want to go to the moon and didn't want to do dragon eggs. So I thought, well, let's try the D Machine. And I prayed that the bosses in the D Machine would be gentle, and they were for the most part. But unfortunately, I didn't do quite enough to get Rydia to nuke, so then I went back to eggs to try to get her to nuke, and then tried and failed on agility manipulation, and then Z fight and shock when I made the wrong decision about agility.
Was there any point in the seed that you like? The whole seed was really just a masterpiece. But was there any point where you looked at it and just like that drained feeling? Like, come on, really? Like everything just kind of built up, and you had to let out one of those sighs because it felt like the entire seed was that.
I think it started on the D-Mist fight, just when Rydia died, when I was trying to use the other two, and then just tried plinking her to death, and then trying to decide, do I reset and go through it faster? Am I close enough to killing her off? And so that was when it started going bad. And then when I just started doing all the other key item checks and just getting nothing, then that's when I just started kind of doing the womps the whole time. And it's like, okay, let's try this. Oh, nope. Try this. Nope. Try this. Nope.
That definitely was proving to be really rude. So at any point, though, were you feeling like you were significantly behind? Or did you feel like, well, there weren't really too many other options, though, so likely Chaos Hades is doing the same thing. So I guess, did you feel like this was putting you behind in the race, or did you feel like, nah, probably still neck and neck?
I felt pretty good until the D-Mist fight. Sure. And then once I got to the D-Mist and the Rydia Bahamut did not go according to plan, that's when I felt like I lost. If there's any point that I lost, this is it. I should have reset after Rydia died. I should have done this. And then at that point forward, it was just more trying to catch up. And then the D Machine grind was my Hail Mary. It's like, okay, I need to get Rydia and Porum up to good levels right away, and let's just hope for the best. So I think I felt good until D-Mist, and then after D-Mist, it was like, I lost. I'm dead. I'm lost. And then when I have Discord covered the whole time when I'm racing because anxiety, whatever. So after I heard the bang and I hit the dot done, I basically freaked out for about 2-3 minutes and had to go get a drink.
I mean, I think we all had to get a drink throughout that scene, to be perfectly honest. Meanwhile, it does look like Chaos Hades also does get through his zero miss fight, 2 hours, 13 minutes, and 18 seconds.
And I believe we're joined now by Chaos Hades. GG's.
Thank you. This was rude.
Yes, it was.
I really think you will both enjoy going back and watching this, because this was absolutely something that I don't think anyone could believe exactly what we were seeing for anything.
Of course, it had to debut on my very first restream on the major channel when I already have enough anxiety going into this race. But I got to give huge props to Scala and Zoe and just everybody in this community. I mean, I went into this race, I didn't know what I was getting into, and I just had so much anxiety issues, and this whole community was just, oh my god, they're just so awesome. So just take a moment now to just thank everybody for all your great support and all this. And yeah.
I have often said this is the single best internet community that exists, honestly, and I am proven that again and again and again with the admins, the volunteers, the runners, the racers, even the casual folks, you guys who are new and just trying to figure out what's going on. This is one of the best online communities you could possibly join. So we're glad to have you, Zol.
Thank you. And now I want to hear from Chaos Hades. How did you go? How did you feel?
It was a real roller coaster of emotions. First, the D-Mist. I forgot that Rydia had the dancing dagger, so I missed maybe 2,000 damage for each Bahamut she cast. After that, on the Underworld, it was okay. I think I didn't do too much mistakes or bad routing, but when I went to Baron Castle and I saw the gauntlet and I knew I had the 4 objectives, I was like, I'll bail out. I'll try something with the team I have and to farm some XP somewhere else on the Earth and fade the moon completely. But I think it bites me a lot versus Zemus, because I wiped 2 or 3 times. And I nearly wiped the last time because at the counter nuke I didn't thought about it when I did the vampire to heal Cecil in the end, and that killed Fusoya, so I was like, oh man. But yeah, it was pretty rude at the start, pretty okay in the middle, and I did big mistake in this versus Zemus, so it was rude in the end too.
That C took every opportunity it could to be rude. Your routing underground was, we were definitely talking about that. Was that you feeling behind after that pretty long D-miss fight, and so you went to try to do some maybe more out of the way checks and do pay march there, or was that thought there to try to just, spend as little time flying around in the Enterprise as you could and just do everything in the underground while you're there?
I thought I was behind because the D-miss was pretty long to do. But when I saw that I had no key items, there was something in the Underworld. It was impossible to have nothing. So I did pretty much everything I could in the Underworld, and after that, maybe I should have checked the freebies before doing everything. But anyway, there was some things that was useful, like the rat tail, but Sur Galbez wasn't really useful. But Power Short was nice, but I couldn't say it was that useful in this seed. But anyway.
All right, but one last question before we wrap up. The rematch, the rubber, is this Friday at 7 p.m. It has not been scheduled for a restream quite yet, but you guys looking forward to the rubber match, the rematch?
Yeah, for sure. Oh. Yeah, maybe I'll do some practice with principally with the Z fight. But yeah, I'm pretty. I'm not. I can't say I'm ready, but I'll try my best.
Hey, that's perfectly fine at this point in time. You know, it's one race at a time. You're already in the bracket stages, which is what most of us were hoping for anyway. So GG's, it's nothing but respect from here on out.
Thank
Yep,
you.
definitely GG's, and I do highly recommend watching the seed back and just seeing just how rude it was and really how close it ended up being through the entirety of the thing.
I'll sure do. My dream was to reach the brackets, and I mean to pass the Swiss rounds. I mean, so after that, this is purely bonus. So it's bonus round.
I can completely 100% agree with that sentiment right there. All right. Well, one last shout out to both ch4osh4des and xalde for putting on such a fantastic race for us tonight. GG's to both of them, and we'll get to see the second of the best of three match this Friday at 7 p.m. One last shout out to all of the folks behind the scenes, Neobari for the restream, and I want to make sure Taven. Taven for the tracking. Fantastic working with everyone there. And then iClopper. Always pleasure working with you on the comps.
And definitely a pleasure working with you as well. Do make sure to follow everyone who was involved in today's race. Both great racers here, yes, Hades and xalde, for putting on great shows for us, and all the restream team here. And it was just a lot of fun watching. And do make sure to check into our next races. So we do have the one on Friday, the Game 2 here, and there will be 2 more races tomorrow, not with different runners, both going on at 7 p.m. Eastern. So be sure to check those out. Though they don't quite have restream scheduled yet. So hopefully some of those get restreamed.
I got to imagine one or both of those are going to get restreamed. If you haven't, go ahead and check us out over on Discord. It's where you can be kept up with all the updated information. You can also follow us over on Twitter as well. It looks like we are going to, because the other race tonight was just wrapping up. So we're actually going to send everyone over to one of our community members who is practicing right now, Xenocat. One not only a very talented runner, but one of the composers for a lot of the harp music that gets entered. So I'm gonna go raid Xenocat. Say what's up. And with that,